to talk about this absolute fraud that is Kai Havertz, that Arsenal have thought, yay, this is part of the clear plan. Let's go and spunk 60 million. Go with the cheap and cheerful option of Marti Odegaard, because that's where our standards are as a football club and a fan base. They'll accept that, and they'll all be knocking one out. Oh, the return of Odegaard. Oh.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel, and I'm kind of speechless. If I'm totally honest with you, I didn't see it coming. Arsenal 5, Chelsea 0. Look, I know that Chelsea have become a banter club. I know that they lost on the weekend. It would have been demoralising and energy sapping. And I felt confident, or at least I was telling myself I was confident going into this game. I thought that, just like everybody else, I was heartbroken at the way we lost to Aston Villa. Fans filing out before the end of the game. 2 late goals killing our title hopes. Dreams ended for another year. I was crestfallen. Just totally deflated by the whole process. And of course, when this sort of thing happens, you start to project into the future and you think, well, are we going to be able to beat Wolves? Are Chelsea going to be a tricky fixture? And of course, we have Man United and Tottenham away still to come. So the game against Wolves, even though I thought when I was watching it live, I thought we were a little leggy. We weren't quite as quick to the ball as we usually are. Our work rate wasn't there. But we came away with a 2-0 win. After the first goal went in, it was still a little bit scary. But by the time Odegaard scored the second, we'd started to grow into the game. And Declan Rice is running. Kai Havertz, I thought, was outstanding. Saka, who stayed on for the whole game, was still delivering. But going into tonight's game, with one eye on the Tottenham game, because you know what, I really did think we'd beat Chelsea, or should beat Chelsea, just like I thought we should beat Aston Villa. But all of this is in reference to but all of this is with one eye to that Tottenham game. And we couldn't have asked for more, could we? But it was more than just a 5-0 defeat. First time we've put 5 past Chelsea at home since the late 70s. That's longer than I've been watching football. So that is a huge amount of time. It was more than just an announcement of it was more than just us saying that we aren't going to bottle it, that we are in it for the long haul, that we are going to have, that if Manchester City or Liverpool want to win this title, they're going to have to go all the way to the wire and beat all the teams in front of them. Because it is true. You would rather have points on the board than games in hand. Manchester City now go to Brighton, which probably not as tricky a fixture as the one they drew last year, 1-1. But nothing's impossible. They're tired, they're fatigued, and the last thing you want is the other team in the race getting the job done. That's what killed us last season. It wasn't necessarily our performances. It was looking to Man City's performance at Everton, their demolition of Everton 3-0 before we kicked off against Brighton, and it took the wind out of ourselves. And perhaps this will do the same. Although I will say the Manchester City are a side that are proven mentality monsters. They do know how to get over the line and get the job done. So we can't really expect anything, but we hope. We hope that in their last 6 games, they drop some points somewhere. 4-point advantage is the best we could do today, though, and we did that. And not only that, but we extended our goal difference, making it almost impossible for Manchester City to overhaul our goal difference. Although, as I say that, I am aware that they have some games, Nottingham Forest coming up, where they could rack up a cricket score. But the reality is that goal difference will be an advantage. If Manchester City drop 2 points, either against Brighton or one of the games coming up they have, Spurs away is an opportunity. Spurs away has always been a tricky fixture for them. Dare we hope that Spurs would do us a favour? But this game tonight wasn't just about announcing ourselves. It was about proving so many doubters wrong. And I'm not actually talking about I'm not actually talking about the people outside our club who have laughed at us for quote unquote bottling it. And if by bottling it, what they really mean is getting close and not getting over the line. And I don't think there's any shame in that. We ran Man City really close last season, and in the end, our nerves gave in a little bit. Our squad wasn't quite deep enough. And, well, it was a humbling experience at the end. Showed us just what it takes to be champions. But I believe these players have learned from that. They've learned from adversity. And what was so outstanding tonight was that there's barely a player on that pitch that hasn't received criticism. David Raya tonight kept his 14th clean sheet. 14 clean sheets. 28 appearances. It's not a bad return in your first season. People talking about how it was a mistake to sign him, that he would have unsettled the back four. Well, I have to say, we don't look unsettled. We have the best and leanest defence. We have the best and meanest defence in the Premier League. So if that's unsettled, I'll take it every day of the week. Ben White at right back. Another outstanding performance from him. 2 goals. I love Ben White. I love his character. I love his honesty. How different from Mykhailo Mudryk when he accidentally scored against David Raya and came out and said afterwards, I planned to do that. When Ben White was asked if he meant the goal, he was like, no, but they all count. Who would you rather have in your team? I know Mudryk cried when he couldn't join Arsenal, and you can see why now. And I have no antipathy for him whatsoever. But he's a long way off the finished article, just like so many of his Chelsea teammates. And I'm not going to talk about Chelsea today because I've joked enough about Chelsea. They're going through a really tough time. And I'm glad. I'm actually really glad because I remember when Roman Abramovich took over and pumped money into that club and built them up long before people criticised teams for spending money to achieve success. That was how Chelsea did it. I'm not going to talk about Chelsea. But Ben White, when we signed him from Brighton, we'd been mugged, we'd been robbed, we'd been ripped off. He has looked outstanding at right back since his switch there. And today, 2 goals. Fabulous performance. Next to him, William Saliba. Now, obviously, most people were thrilled that we were signing this young, talented French player and couldn't understand why he was on loan so much. But he has played every minute of every game for us this season. And although I would say his performances in the last 4 or 5 games have not matched what we know he's capable of, clean sheets. What can you say? Gabriel, the bozo gene. People have said that he's just not up to the level of the high standard set by Arsenal's fantastic history and rich history of centre-backs. Tomiyasu, criticised. Too injury prone, not good enough. Declan Rice, hardly anyone. Thomas Partey back in today, and whilst fairly obvious he's going to be leaving in the summer, what a way to go out. These kind of performances where we're able to rest Jorginho. I thought it was a bold move, to be honest with you, because for all the fact that they haven't gelled yet, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez in the midfield is £250 million worth of midfield talent, and they should be young enough. I mean, Caicedo last season was, I won't be the only one of us that wanted to see him at Arsenal. One of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League last season. And then, of course, Declan Rice for us alongside Thomas Partey playing in that defensive midfield position allowed Declan Rice to bomb forward more. But Martin Odegaard, who many people called a Real Madrid reject, said he wasn't quite there. He was a cheaper version of Kevin De Bruyne and never quite there. He was outstanding today. Freed to be creative, and in that lone creative role, he was absolutely mesmerising. As near a perfect performance as we've seen from Odegaard since, and I was a fan since he was on loan. But he still has so much more he can deliver. And he's another player who seems to be growing into the season at a time where you could have worried that he was going to be fatigued, tired. The strain and stress of it all. The criticism he took for his photograph celebration after the Liverpool game. A captain's performance. Truly a captain's performance. Leandro Trossard on the pitch. Who got that vital first goal that settled our nerves. Although saying that, towards the end of the first half, it looked like we were sluggish and tired again. The rejuvenating talk that Arteta gave him at half-time did the trick. But Trossard's first goal, and you know what? There's been times where I've thought maybe it's better to start him on the bench. But if he can come on and be that clinical early on and settle our nerves in a way he did, you've got to love him. £27 million we paid for him because we couldn't get Mudryk. How amazing to have them both on the pitch, and it's night and day, isn't it? But people were underwhelmed when we signed him. I think a lot of us were actually quite pleased. I thought he was brilliant. The hat-trick he scored for Brighton against Liverpool with his apparently weaker foot. Bukayo Saka today, and I did a video yesterday talking about how maybe this is a time to drop him. And then even despite the fact that we're 3 and 4-0 up, he's still on the pitch. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to me. But, you know, when you're winning, you can't really criticise Arteta. And I've given up trying to do that a long time ago just because of how impressed I am with what he's delivered. This calendar year has been outstanding. Just when you think we might fold a little bit, we come back fighting. I don't think we over-celebrated today, did we? I don't think he was jumping up and down too much on the sidelines. I know he did get a yellow card. But an Arteta masterclass. Bukayo Saka with 5 key passes, an assist. Okay, it's not the top of his game, but he's got 4 days off now. And he did come off towards the end. So he's got 4 days and 10 minutes to be ready for the Tottenham game. But really, it's Kai Havertz. Football is magical and poetic at times. And tonight, seeing Kai Havertz go clean through, and that first goal of his, absolutely beautiful. The second goal, killer. Waka waka. What can I say? 60 million down the drain. Kai Havertz scores again and again in front of the Chelsea fans, who I think were still there when he scored his second. And all of these players have been criticised mightily. We've been lampooned and laughed at for signing players like Kai Havertz. Well, tonight, who's laughing? I know we haven't won the league yet. I know there are still 4 games to go. Oh, don't I know it? I've forgotten what it's like watching a title run in with the last 4 games where every game is nervy and you go into it full of confidence. You think, yeah, we can beat Tottenham, and then who knows what can happen? A VAR decision, a sending off, an unlucky deflection. Tottenham will be bang up for this, and I'm taking nothing for granted. But tonight is not a night that I'm going to think about the Tottenham game. Tonight is a night that I'm just going to say to you how glad we can be that this team that was put together inexpensively for what they're achieving, and who've had so much criticism. And I'm not really talking about the criticism from outside our fan base. I'm talking about the fans of this club who had their opinions about each one of these players. There are many of them. There are many fans who call themselves Arsenal fans who wanted to go in on Tomiyasu, Ben White, Odegaard, Kai Havertz. I wasn't convinced by Kai Havertz. But once they put the shirt on, I'll give them time. Kai Havertz is repaying our faith. Absolutely fantastic performance. So for all of the quote-unquote Arsenal fans who went in on these players and didn't give them a chance, you owe an apology tonight. Perhaps you'll be big enough to offer that apology. And no one that I can think of owes more of an apology than Lee Gunner. So I'm going to leave you with some of the choice things he said about the players I've mentioned. Because it's easy to come on there and express your views like you're an absolute expert. Say, oh, he's not good enough and he's not good enough. When you're wrong, you do have to stand up and be counted. When you're wrong, when I'm wrong about something, I admit it straight away. I thought he should rotate more players against Wolves and against Chelsea. He didn't, and I think I can say I was wrong. I'm starting to trust Arteta to take us over the line, and I'm starting to believe in the magic of a 20th anniversary Premier League win. And I hope you are too. But I'm going to leave you with some clips of Lee Gunner and his opinions, not because I really want to go in on him. I haven't got much time for fans like Lee Gunner, who seem to not love anything about our club at all for most of the season and then joyously celebrate when we do well. My view is that if you're not there for the bad times, you don't get to celebrate the good times. And if you're part of the problem during the bad times, if you're part of the reason that Arsenal fans who aren't going in on our own players don't want to go on social media because we have to put up with the crap you talk when it's not going well, then you owe us all an apology. You at least should say when you were wrong. If you don't know what I'm talking about, keep on watching. This is Lee Gunner's opinions before and in Lee Gunner's opinions tonight on the same players. Till I see you again. Be lucky. Lots of love.
Right? Then you go Martin Odegaard. I said earlier in last week's show, Dan James has got a better output for the team that he's playing at compared to what Martin Odegaard's playing at. Everyone ridiculed me for it. Well, put Odegaard in Leeds' team, would they be better? They probably wouldn't, would they? Yeah? They probably wouldn't, would they? Let's be real, because every time the guy's pressed, he don't do nothing.
We go with the cheap and cheerful option of Martin Odegaard because that's where our standards are as a football club and a fan base. They'll accept that and they'll all be knocking one out. Oh, the return of Odegaard. Oh, it's amazing. He's come back to the carpet. Oh, we've got ourselves a gem. They're already trying to convince themselves that Odegaard's better than Maddison because his ceiling is higher. Based on what? Based on what? Somebody tell me based on what? Martin Odegaard's a bang average footballer, yeah, who couldn't do it in the Premier League. And as soon as it gets a little bit rough for him at Real Madrid and he has to start fighting for his place at an elite football club, an institution, one of the greatest football clubs on the planet, with all that history and tradition, he wants to bounce straight away. Shows the fucking mentality of the geezer. Don't want him. Stay over there and go and play for fucking Getafe or something. Boring. Martin Odegaard, for me, that's his best game ever in an Arsenal shirt. Yeah, that was like he was playing against kids and he is the big kid and they're 3 years younger. Ben White, yeah, all them Chelsea fans that run their mouth at the bridge about Mudryk meant that cross that went in. Cool. Well, Ben White did a no-look goal then. Yeah, because he meant that as well then. There are 2 goals for Ben White. One. To talk about this absolute fraud that is Kai Havertz, that Arsenal have thought, yay, this is part of the clear plan. Let's go and spunk 60 million on Kai Havertz. Good one, mate. But don't worry, he's misunderstood at Chelsea. We could turn him around. If you can't see what Mikel Arteta's doing, you can F off down the lane, mate. He's got a proven track record. We should trust Arteta. Get in the bin, man. These people are a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Get in the bin. This geezer is shocking. Absolutely disgusting signing. Yeah, disgusting. Yeah, absolutely fuming. Kai Havertz tonight, even without, take the goals away, yeah? Right? His link-up playing the little cute flicks and this and that, and he looked on it. And we looked like, I don't know what Arteta said to them before kickoff in either half. Yeah, but we looked like we were on, like, you know when you've got Sky Plus and you fast forward it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like when you listen to a voice message on 1.5 times speed, you know, on WhatsApp. Yeah. It was like we were just so much quicker to everything. Yeah, Tomiyasu, he has to start every game if he's fit from now to the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Him and Trossard down that left side with Rice being free, with Thomas Partey mopping up. That combination down that left side. Yeah, I know it's Chelsea and they're crap. They just couldn't lay a glove on us tonight. Yeah.
Now, you go and have a look at Ben White. I don't care what anyone tells me. I've said it from before he started a game for us. That guy is dross. We see again last night, he got bullied by a striker who's not played for about 6 months. Yeah. Absolutely bullied. Scored a great own goal, by the way. Well done to him. Yeah, but he's got nice tattoos and he's a pretty boy, so everyone fancies him.
And we are going to talk about Tomiyasu getting a new deal. Why? Why has he got a new deal? Then we've got to try and get rid of Tomiyasu, yeah, and try and get money for him. And yeah, listen, we didn't spend that much money on buying him, so we probably could spin some money out of that deal. But at the same time, I don't really understand why we're signing this guy. I don't get it. Yeah, he's had some good performances. Yeah, he pocketed Salah. Well, and what? Yeah, the fact of reality is, this guy is not good enough.
Go out there and spend 25, 30 million quid on a player at centre-back. I don't want to buy William Saliba. Not for me. He may turn out to be fantastic. I ain't taking that risk. I want somebody that's half decent at centre-back.
I liked him from the minute we signed him.
Bukayo Saka is an example. Do you think he's good enough to be part of a team that could get you back to the top? Like talented-wise? And if so, is Arteta right to get out of it?
He is mad overrated.
Is Gabriel sitting there crying about my opinion about him? Probably not. Yeah, he's probably out buying another car or another watch or buying some earrings.